Hi everyone, welcome once again to A.O.S. Abroad. Thank you very, very much for joining today's episode of our conversation about Canada immigration. And today we have a very interesting news update for those who have been following express entry draws. We have had some wonderful, remarkable, and interesting draws of late. But today we will be centering our discussion on the third draw that was actually done. You understand in during this particular week. If you have been following the trends, you will see some salient information. You will see some trends, some you understand insights about what Canada is actually doing. If you remember, August 6th, 2025, we had a provincial draw that was on Wednesday, right? We also had on August 7th a Canadian Experience class draw. And to cap it all up, yesterday, basically, which was on Friday, August 8th, 2025, we had a French language proficiency version 1 draw. Now, this is a very, very good news for a lot of people, especially some of our clientele, some of our students, and candidates who want to actually see who are the kinds of people they are actually inviting to come into Canada and become permanent residents. Now, mind you, we are not talking about other visas. We are not talking about the study permits, for instance, for people that want to come study in Canada. No, we are not also talking about the work permit for those who want to actually come into Canada and work in Canada temporarily. We're not talking about those kind of people. We are not also talking about visitors, people that just want to tour the country, visit maybe family and friends, or come for tourism. No, we're not talking about those kind of people. We are not also talking about those who are seeking asylum, those who want to become refugees in Canada. We're not talking about these people. Who are we talking about? We are talking specifically about those who want to become permanent residents, whether they are in Canada already, maybe as students, as visitors, as temporary foreign workers, or whether they are outside of Canada. That means they are in their home country or their residence country. So let's take an example of those that we are actually mentioning. If you are part of those that want to come into Canada and stay here permanently, you want to bring in your family members together with you, or perhaps even stay alone, come alone into the country of Canada, then it is people like you that we are talking to, people that want to actually stay here permanently, and they don't just want to be like the Me Too travelers. That means those that will just come, study for some time and go back, or those that will just work, study for, or if they don't even go back to their own countries, those that at the end of the day, even if they don't go back, they will still have to actually renew their visas. You understand? Or they will have to maybe switch from one particular visa to another. We're not talking about people like that. In this in this what they call discussion, we are talking about IRCC, which is Immigration, Refugees and Citizenship Canada, inviting those who want to become permanent residents of Canada, those that have a skill that Canada is actually looking for, those that are basically in demand in Canada, those that Canada would always want to invite because they have something that Canada really wants, which is what? Which is their language proficiency. Now, many people can speak English already. Do you understand? So it may be quite difficult for someone that just has the speaking or the ability to speak English alone to come into Canada if they don't have all other skills, maybe if they are not in a particular profession or the other. But in this particular discussion, we are talking about those who are coming into Canada and those that have the language proficiency skill of French. That means those that can actually speak French. You can speak French, you can listen to French and understand it, you can write French, and you can also read and comprehend the French language. Those are the people we are talking about today. Or if you are not already a French speaker, you are not a French user, you are not a francophone, you are not even a francophile yet, do you have the desire to actually learn French? Those are the people that we are going to be talking about today. Because why? Um, when it comes to French, many people have been asking, okay, my skill, or okay, I'm an accountant, can I come into Canada? Some people say, okay, a high school teacher, can I come into Canada? Some people say this and that. But I tell people, no matter your occupation, no matter what you do for a living, if you have that French language skill, that could give you an advantage over all other people that don't have that French language skill, right? So, but today we won't talk about IRCC holding the third express entry draw of the week. This week, this particular week, this first week, or perhaps I'll say second week of August. You know, the week actually started, let's see, normally it should start on Sunday, which is the third of August, and it ends today, which is the 9th of August, right? So yesterday, being the 8th of August, there was a draw. When people hear the word draw, some people may not really understand. What it really means is that Canada selected, they unpicked, they selected some people from what we know as the express entry pool. Let's liken it to a kind of lottery system. Even though this one is not just lottery, it's not just game of chance, it's a game of skills, it's a game of, you understand, credentials, a game of requirements. But let's just assume that everyone is put into a pool of, you understand, candidates. You are put into a pool of other immigrants, other aspiring immigrants, just like you. Now, if you look at that pool has doctors, it has lawyers, it has chauffeurs, it has drivers, it has, you understand, artisans, it has accountants, it has bankers. A lot of people are in that particular pool. And those people are coming from every walks of life, from every or most countries you may think about. Do you understand? In other words, they are coming from places like US, like UK, even those that are already in Canada as well, but who are not citizens already or permanent residents. It's coming from places like Nigeria, places like India, places like Pakistan, places like Afghanistan, places like Australia, places like New Zealand. You understand? Various places like the Caribbean as well, the Dominican Republic, the Jamaican, the St. Kitts and Nevis. A lot of people from all countries, from Dubai, from Oman, from Qatar, you understand, from Turkey. A lot of people are actually in that same pool, just like you. Do you understand? So what happens is that Canada, through its ministry, the Ministry of what? Immigration, Refugees, and Citizenship Canada, they go into that pool of candidates, they go into that pool of aspiring immigrants, they go into that pool and see, based on the criteria they want to use to invite people, who amongst those people in the pool have what they are currently looking for. And that's why we say those that they select are in demand. How do we know if they are in demand? Is because Canada has actually stated that it will be focusing on these specific priority categories for the year 2025. And for those who have been joining our live sessions, you know I'm always talking about the priority streams or the priority categories. What are the priority categories? The very first one, the number one that Canada is actually looking for is the one we are talking about today, which is what? Which is the French language proficiency skill. Those that have the skill of French, those are the people, the number one people that Canada are actually in demand for right now. Those are the kind of people Canada really wants right now to come into Canada and to stay here permanently. So what we are saying is that in the pool of candidates, Canada goes into the pool and sniffs out, it selects out, it brings about those that it wants to select from those pools. Do you understand? And today, as I always say, we're making use of CICnews.com, which is the Canadian Immigration and Citizenship News website, whereby we are actually going to be reading the article Ashesh by Ashesh Mosapeta, which is titled IRCC holds the third express entry draw of the week. And it was published and updated just yesterday, August 8th, 2025. Now, let's talk about the pool itself. We said Immigration, Refugees and Citizenship Canada, IRCC, has issued more invitations to apply ITA through the what? Through the express entry system. Now, I was explaining the pool. I said a lot of people are already in the pool. A lot of people have their names, their details, their information. You know, it's funny enough. Some people would always, just like one of what they call it now, one of the renters that I have. or that I was speaking to today, someone that wants to rent a particular apartment, and he was saying he doesn't want to give his personal information out. He doesn't want to, you understand? He's not okay with it. But at the end of the day, in that particular pool we're talking about, in that Canada immigration pool, a lot of people from all walks of life, you understand, have actually dropped their personal information. And Canada will assess the eligibility of those sets of people based on the what? Based on their personal information. And how did they get your personal information? They got it basically by you submitting it. You willingly, you understand, submitting those your personal information. Now, to be considered in this draw, the draw of the French language proficiency, candidates needed to have number one, a minimum comprehensive ranking system score, CRS score of 481. This was higher compared to the last draw, you understand, that was done for French. For those that have been following, if you know the last draw, it was 379. 300, it was less than 400. You understand? CRS points that people needed for that last draw that was done on March 6, 2025, right? But now down the line, March, rather, I said March 6, March 21, 2025. The last draw was done March 21, 2025. And they picked those that had scores from 379 upwards. If we look at that, we see that there have been a massive jump from the 379 points that they were picking before to what? To 481 points. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? So basically, what is happening now is that more people needed more points in order to qualify for the French language draws. So it shows you that more people are learning French right now compared to before. People don't understand this, that the more you keep saying, oh, you don't want to learn French, oh, you don't have time to learn French, you don't have what it takes to learn French, you cannot relax, or you don't have the time to learn French. A lot of people are taking their action. They are not just giving excuses. They are not just saying, "Oh, okay. I don't have time to do this thing. I don't have money to do this." People are actually taking the time out to learn French. They are taking the time out to get their language test results done. They are taking the time out to create their express entry profile and add it up to the pool in order to get the opportunity to get invited for Canada immigration draws. So the question to you now is that, do you want to actually get to also learn French and stand a chance of being selected like this set of people that were selected yesterday? Or do you want to always keep complaining and making excuses? It depends on you. If your desire is to come into Canada, if your desire is to have the opportunity to reside in Canada together with your family members, or to come alone, or to come with your spouse or common law partner, the time is now. Do you understand? If you want to still be invited, even this year, it's still possible for someone that starts learning French or continues learning French to get invited this year before even next year. Do you understand? If only, of course, you are determined to make it happen. If you're not determined to make it happen, it won't happen for you, right? It won't happen for you. Sorry, I want to actually do something. Um, if you are determined to make it happen, that is only when it will what? It will happen for you. That is only when it will materialize for you. If you are not willing to make it happen, it won't happen for you no matter what you do. Do you understand? No matter what you do. So one, for those that got invited today, yesterday, those were those set of people that had their CRS score 481 and above. Two, it were those that were able to create their express entry profiles, their candidate profiles before 5:16 a.m. Universal Coordinated Time on 18th July 2025. Many people don't understand what we know as the tie-breaking rule. The tie-breaking rule basically means that the faster you create your profile and you actually get to be a candidate in the express entry, the better your chances, basically. Because sometimes you may create your profile, even if you don't have your French language proficiency results yet, You understand? You may create your profile earlier than another person that had his French language test result before he submitted a profile. Let me give you a particular instance. They said those that they invited were those that had their, you understand, candidate profile from before 18th July 2025. What that means is that if you had the 481 points that they used to select people, if you had it July 2025, and that was when you now created your express entry profile, Canada couldn't have been able to pick you. They couldn't have been able to select you because your candidate profile was not created earlier before the time that they actually used to select people in this draw. So you may have 490 points, you may have 500 points, you may have 485 points. You understand? You may max out and have more points than the one they selected right now. But because you didn't create your candidate profile in the express entry portal before the draw was taken, you understand, before the tie breaking rule of the draw, you may not get a chance to actually get selected in this particular draw. So you may have to wait basically for another draw that actually accounts for the time that you created the profile. So that's why I always tell people, even if you think you don't have what it takes right now, even if you feel that, oh, what you have is low compared to what will make you get selected, my best suggestion to you is create the candidate's profile under the express entry now. If you create it and you are not eligible, you are not qualified, at least you know you tried, right? But it will be saddened, it will be very sad. You will be saddened if you didn't create your express entry profile and they selected those who you could have actually gotten selected with, but because you didn't have your profile, they didn't select you because they didn't know of, you understand, your eligibility. So my best advice is create your express entry profile as fast as possible. If you want to come into Canada and stay here permanently, if you want to come in through the permanent residency route, create your profile as fast as possible. Do you understand? Now, there's a summary of the express entry draws that we have had in the year 2025. And from January down to August 8th, we have been seeing a lot of draws related to the French language proficiency category, the Canadian Experience Class program, the Provincial Nominee program, even the Healthcare and Social Services category, and also the Education category. We have been seeing a lot of draws within all these categories and programs. Do you understand? So to yesterday's express entry draw is the third draw of both the month of August and this particular week that we have. So Canada has invited, do you understand? Canadian Experience Class draw on 7th of August. They also invited Provincial Nominee Program draw on 6th of August. And they also drew the Healthcare and Social Services category based selection draw on the 22nd of July. Do you understand? So we have been seeing some programs that selected. We have been also seeing some what? Some categories that what? That selected. So thus far, IRCC has issued 53,128 invitations to apply. You understand? Invitations to apply through the express entry system in the year 2025. What that means basically is that about 53,000 people, more than 53,000 people have gotten selected to apply for permanent residence. Though it may not be all of them that will finally enter Canada and become permanent residents, do you understand? But one thing you have to know is even in that amount of 53,000, that is just for the permanent resident or the principal applicant of the permanent residence application. If, for instance, in your own family, just like in my own family, I had myself and my common law partner, two of us coming into Canada, but they just gave one person the invitation, which was me. There was but she came, she tagged along basically. So imagine you also have a family of three, or a family of four, or a family of five, six, or up to seven. It's just one person they will give the invitation, which may be you or your spouse. But you and your family members can come into Canada by virtue of just that one invitation. So what that means is that even in these 53,000 plus people, that have gotten invitations. They may even be up to 100,000. You understand? If we are to account for their what? If we are to account for their family dependents. Do you understand? There are dependents that are coming together with them to Canada. So express entry draws this year of 2025, it has primarily been focused on the PMP draws, which is one draw that I got selected through, which I always tell people to come through because that's what I did. The PMP, Provincial Nominee Programs, it has been available for about a decade now, and it will always be available because those PM provincial nominee programs, the PMPs, are programs that are tackling the issues of each province in Canada, except for the province of Quebec. Do you understand? So we would always be seeing the PMP draws, and that's one cue for you to know that if you really want to get serious to come into Canada and become a permanent resident, you can and you should also look into the PMP draws, the provincial nominee programs, because those provincial nominee programs, whether you're coming to the province of Ontario, to the province of Alberta, province of Manitoba, British Columbia, you understand, New Brunswick, Nova Scotia, Prince Edward Island, Saskatchewan, you understand, you have all those provinces, all of them would always keep on inviting immigrants because they need them. You understand? So apart from the provincial nominee program draws, other remainder of the express entry ITAs that have been issued this year were dedicated to CEC candidates, that is the Canadian Experience Class candidates, especially those that are international students already in Canada or those that are temporary foreign workers who are currently working in Canada. Now, apart from those, because of course it's not everybody that is already in Canada, if you are not already in Canada and you want to come into Canada and you are looking for an opportunity to come into Canada, if you don't use the provincial nominee program draws, the PMPs, the other programs you could use is the French language proficiency draws or categories, which is what we are talking about today, and those in the express entry priority occupation categories, like the education category is another category that you should look out for. The healthcare and social services occupations category is another category you should look out for because Canada would always be selecting people from that one or from those categories. Do you understand? And if you look at the statistics of how Canada have been inviting people for this year 2025, we see that the provincial nominee program draws have been 14 from, you understand, January to August. PNPs that are provincial nominee draws that have been coordinated are 14 in number. If you look at that, we're about, this is like the eighth month, right, of the year. So that means every particular month, Canada has been inviting at least two, or have been having two draws of the provincial nominee programs every month. That means if you focus on the provincial nominee draws, you are more or less certain that in or between or maybe like every two weeks, you stand a chance to get selected to come into Canada and become a permanent resident because every two weeks, Canada are inviting what? They are inviting immigrants who want to become permanent residents through the provincial nominee program route. That's the first program. The second program is the Canadian Experience Class. We have had about draws 8 draws from January to what? To August. So what that means is that every month, at least once every month, Canada have been inviting what? Inviting international students and temporary foreign workers who what? Who want to come into Canada, benefit Canada, and stand, because of course they are already in Canada, in fact. But you being already in Canada does not mean that you can stay in Canada permanently. Do you understand? It doesn't mean you can stay in Canada permanently. The only thing that guarantee you the opportunity to stay in Canada permanently is the permanent resident visa. So if you don't have the permanent resident visa, just like many of the international students that are in Canada, temporary foreign workers in Canada, even visitors in Canada, you understand, they have to transition to become permanent residents. And through this Canadian Experience Class, many of the students and workers are actually transitioning to become permanent residents. Now, apart from those two initial programs that allows people to come in, the other programs or the other categories that you can use to come in are the three categories that were selected, you understand, from the beginning of this year till this particular moment. The French language proficiency, at least we have had 4 categories or 4 draws of this particular category being selected. So what that means is that, we are in the 8th month of the year, August, right? What that means is that one time at least in every two months, you understand, we are getting one particular French language proficiency draw. Do you understand? Healthcare and social services is another category that have been selecting people, but we have just had draws, 3 draws of the healthcare and social services occupations. And what that means is that at least they have selected people to come into Canada, people who are permanent, who are what they call it, people who are healthcare professionals to come into Canada every at least 40 days. Do you understand? Every 40 days at least, you understand, or maybe 45 days, we have been having one draw of the healthcare. And education is the least category that has gotten selected. Just one time have they selected those that are professionals in the education, what we call it, in the education sector. So my question to you now, if you look at these draws, starting from the provincial nominee program draws, the Canadian Experience Class program draws, the French language proficiency category draws, the healthcare and social services draws, the education category draws, you would see that, especially if you are outside of Canada, if you are not currently living in Canada, if you are not a student in Canada or a temporary foreign worker in Canada, you have opportunity to become a permanent resident by basically 2 to 3 different draws, 2 to 3 different ways. Either coming in under the provincial nominee program, in other words, applying to the province first before you get selected by the federal government, or if you want to get selected by the federal government, go directly through the French language proficiency category draws or the healthcare and social services category draws. So my question to you again is that, are you ready to become a permanent resident of Canada? And you can't say that merely by mouth. You can't say that by not putting action towards your desire. How do you put action towards your desire? Is for you to actually know what Canada is expecting right now and be able to align yourself to what is currently in demand. And what's currently in demand, in my own point of view, is for you to come through the provincial nominee program route, the PNP route, just like the statistics shows it, or to come in through the what? Through the French language proficiency draw. That means to learn French. And that is where we come in at A.O.S Abroad. We can train you on French language. We can prepare you for TEF Canada and TCF Canada, and even DELF examinations that are applicable in, you understand, Quebec. And we can also assist you through our immigration partners to work on your permanent residency visa processing once you actually qualify. And of course, if you want to create the express entry profile, a lawyer or a consultant, an immigration regulated licensed immigration consultant can also assist you with that. So if you want to actually get assisted in any of these pathways, if you want to stand a chance to also be invited by Canada and become a permanent resident of Canada right from your home country, if you want to stand the opportunity, just like we did when we were coming to Canada, becoming permanent residents as soon as we entered the airport, as soon as we basically got off of the airplane, you understand, with our confirmation of permanent residence and got to the counter where the visa officer is and got a confirmation of permanent residency signed and stamped, you understand, to grant us full access into the country. If you want that as soon as you enter, you stand a chance to become a permanent resident, and you become a permanent resident almost immediately, then our best advice, our best suggestion is that we are inviting you to actually learn French. And if you want to learn French or even learn more about permanent residence and see the privileges you stand to gain, because it's not only about coming into Canada as a French language speaker, is you actually living in French, so that you stand the chance to, first of all, earn more money, you understand, to actually work in Canada, get more job opportunities, because people are saying there are no job opportunities. Yes, it's because you are not a French speaker yet. If you are a French speaker, the opportunities, the job opportunities that just the English speakers are getting, you will get 2 times more, 3 times more those job offers, you understand, than someone that just speaks English alone. So if you want that, go on our website, aosacademy.com, you understand, and actually get started with your training for French language. Remember, last yesterday rather, they selected another French draw. Those about 2,500 people were selected, you understand, in this particular French draw. That shows you that French speakers are in demand in Canada. And if you want to also be in demand, King Gio, thank you for following our live session. If you want to be in demand, if you want to have that opportunity to actually come into Canada and be appreciated, King Gio, thank you for liking our live session. If you want to have that opportunity to not just be like another immigrant, a U2 immigrant, another immigrant, you want to be distinct, then come into Canada through the French language proficiency. In other words, learn French. We can teach you French at A.O.S abroad. We can also prepare you for French language tests like TEF Canada, like TCN, like DELF. You understand? We can basically help you to become much more eligible for French-based programs in Canada. So, okay, Mr. Doyin was asking, please, what's the cutoff score? Oh, okay, I think you are just joining, Mr. Doyin, or is it Mrs. Doyin now? The cutoff score, as we said it on the conversation, was 481 points. The CRS score, the cumulative ranking system score for yesterday's draw, the draw of August 8th, 2025, was actually 481 points. You understand? And many of, as we always say, some of our clients too also are now saying what they need to focus on in order to get invited. Remember, the last draw that was done around March, one of our clients also got selected, and because she was able to take action quickly, she had the opportunity to get selected. Okay. Mr. Kingio is saying, my sister had bachelor degree in French. Please, how can you help her to come to Canada? Congratulations for your sister having bachelor's degree in French. That is a good one. I like, as people always say, they had one program certification in French. It's good. So to an extent, your sister is already above the average person that just wants to start learning French, right? But something about Canada is that your sister will get points for the bachelor's degree she has under the education. You understand? Because bachelor's degree will give her about, if she, depending on if she's coming alone or coming with a partner, either 100 to 120 points. But when it comes to language proficiency points, because there's difference between education points and language proficiency points under the CRS score. When it comes to her getting points for the language proficiency, the only way she can get points under the language proficiency is to actually take the French language examination, whether she has a bachelor's degree or not, whether she's French from France, you understand, or not, whether she's a Belgian or a Belgian person, she will still have to take the French language test. Do you understand? There's no running away from it. So she will get points for her bachelor's degree in French under the education score category or the education qualification, but she has to take the French. And that is where I said, once again, that's where we come in. You understand? I am a French teacher. I have been teaching French for over a decade right now. So if she wants to learn French, even though I've been teaching French, I always talk about it every time I have the opportunity. Even though I was teaching French, I am still currently teaching French. I remember when I took my first TEF Canada examination, I failed. I failed. I failed the first time, I failed the second time. But all through that process, I learned what you need to do in order not to fail. Do you understand? And that's why the third time when I wrote it, you understand? 2018, I wrote the first one, I failed. 2020, I wrote the second one, I failed. 2022 was when I made my French examination. Do you understand? Results, what I really needed to get selected. So if she wants to also get tutored, get trained, some may be wondering, oh, I graduated with bachelor's of French. Well, I don't need to take any classes again to actually learn the French or to learn. No problem. You know, people just like IELTS will always say that actually is English. Okay, let me just go and write it. I say, okay, no problem. You know, once bitten, twice shy is this life. Is what happens in this life. You understand? I remember that I went to Nigerian French language village, but I agree. You understand? I also went to Alliance Française to learn French. You understand? I even trained people in primary and secondary schools French when I was in Nigeria. But, and of course, when I was to take the French language test the first time, I even went to Alliance Française to also do some trainings. That's where I met my tutor, Mr. Obafemi, who is currently in Quebec right now. And the funny thing is, even with training, I still feel, even though I didn't train very well as I was meant to. So sometimes experience, as they say, is the best teacher. If you experience it the first time, if you go write it and you pass it, congratulations. If you don't, then you may see the need to actually take trainings. And that's why we always tell people, no matter any level you are, whether you are in A1, A2, B1, B2, C1, C2. Some people will tell me, I have DELF results. Can I use DELF results for Canada immigration? I say yes, you can use it for Quebec immigration. It doesn't work for Canadian federal government immigration, but it works for Quebec, the province of Quebec. So you can use DELF for the province of Quebec. And of course, we have some of our clients that we also assist to show them how they could use French, the DELF results that they, because some people say, I graduated with bachelor's degree in French and I went to maybe a Nigerian French language village. I have the DELF B2. That mind you, DELF B2 is the base. I have the DELF B2 diploma. You understand, from France as well. The DELF B2 is the base. Some people will say, I graduated with a bachelor's degree. I went to go and do B1. B1 is not approved for Quebec immigration. A1, A2, those are not approved. It's from B2, C1, and C2 that are approved for Quebec immigration. But if you want to do the mainstream Canadian immigration, especially through the express entry category or the express entry programs, you have to either have the TEF Canada, the test d'évaluation de français, or test TCF Canada. That's the test de connaissance de français du Canada. Those are the two exams that are currently approved for what? For federal government immigration, which is the express entry immigration. So if she wants to actually get assistance on, you understand, how to actually come into Canada, whether as a French language speaker or otherwise, she can always go on our website. If you go on our bio on what do you call it now? TikTok or on YouTube or Instagram or anywhere you are joining us from, just go on our bio, click on the link on our bio, and you'll be referred to our website where you see how we are assisting other people as well, just like to actually come into Canada as a permanent resident. One thing I do always tell people is that someone with experience who is never at the mercy of someone without an experience. You understand? And that is a quote by Ludwig L.H. Adwick. I mean, what they call that man's name? I've forgotten. I have had the experience of permanent residence. A lot of my people, a lot of my friends, a lot of my family also have had the experience of permanent residence and how to become qualified for permanent residence. Over the course of 5 years that it took me to learn French, it took me to relearn French, not even only learn French, to relearn French for the exam, because there's difference. You may know French, you may be conversing in French, you may be speaking French. I have had the privilege of also teaching francophones, people that are from Benin Republic, Togo, Mali, Senegal, still failing French exam. Those are still failing French. Just like I do tell people always feel it's kind of strange. It's not strange. Just like you, that you are from Nigeria or from Ghana or from other places, taking the IELTS exam or the self-pip exam and failing the exam. Similarly, those that are from francophone countries can also fail the French exam. Do you understand? So instead of you thinking of it differently, or thinking that okay, this thing is just, take it serious as it should. You understand? Take the exam serious as it should. So that you don't waste money, because even the TEF Canada exam, the TCF Canada exam, they are not cheap. You understand? The last time we heard about it is about 700,000 naira, and of course, every year they always increase the money. I remember the first TEF Canada exam I wrote. In fact, if I tell you, you will be shocked. It was 120,000 I spent in 2018 to actually write the exam, even with the training that I did. I think I did the training 20,000 extra in Alliance Française. You understand? For 5 weekends, 5 Saturdays, basically, not even 5 weekends, 5 Saturdays. Just so I did the first exam, 120,000. I failed. It was that 2020. The second time I wrote the exam, you understand? I spent about, is it 140? I mean 160,000. I feel even though some people say, okay, the first exam you had B1 parallel, the second exam you had B1 in 2, you understand, comprehension écrite and comprehension orale. In expression écrite, I had, you understand, B2. In expression orale, I had C1. Some people say, me, I consider it as fail because it was not parallel B2s or higher. It was when I now wrote it in 2022, after training and retraining, reskilling up myself, and I had C1 parallel in everything. Do you understand? And that was what guaranteed my Canadian immigration. So instead of you following through that trend of failing, doing trial by error, having difficulties in the exam, we tell people, let's train you. And of course, we have about 1,000 people already currently on aosacademy.com who are currently learning. Some are learning that through the DIY package, some are learning through the online courses and virtual trainings. Some are learning through the course materials that we are giving them, the past questions, study material. Some people will say, okay, I know French already, just give me the past questions, just give me the resources. No problem. That is also available. We can just give you the resources, the past questions, and you understand, for you to actually train yourself, that's also available. If you are a person that say, okay, give me your online course. Let me have access to your online course. I can watch the online course, understand, and I don't need one-on-one classes. No problem. That's also available. You understand? And if you are someone that says, no, I want both the online course and the virtual trainings and even the resources as a bonus, because we give people bonus of the resources as well once you get the online course and the virtual trainings. We can also do that for you. We can provide you that. So go on our website, you understand, aosacademy.com. If you can just write it A, letter O, letter S, and academy.com, or you can actually just go on our bio, click on the link on our bio, and you will get referred to our website. And you can always train yourself. We can help you to prepare yourself for what? For permanent residency to Canada through the what? Through the French training. We have seen people that don't even have bachelors coming to Canada by virtue of their French language skills. We have seen people that are 40 years, 50 years or plus, because people always say, I'm already old now, can I learn French? We have seen people, some people will say this one is a doctor. There was a doctor, yes, that I taught French in Nigeria before I even came into Canada, Mr. Lawal, Dr. Lawal. He's currently in Canada. He learned French before he came, and now he's opportune. He and his family are opportune to actually become permanent residents. In fact, funny enough, they became permanent residents before I became permanent resident. You understand? So there are ways you can do it. There are tricks on how to. I do tell people it's not about becoming completely fluent in the language before you can take French language examinations, before you can succeed in French language examination. I tell my students, I am not 100% fluent in the language. Yes, I am not 100% fluent in the French language, unlike the English. You understand? But the funny thing is, I passed the French language exam. You understand? I did the DELF B2 exam. I also excelled in the DELF B2 exam. I also excelled in it. Do you understand? So it's not, I wasn't completely fluent when I took those examinations. Even till now, I'm not completely fluent. And I don't need to be completely fluent. You just need to learn French to the conversational level. Because once you learn it to the conversational level, you are able to talk with the examiner. You are able to actually express yourself in writing. You are able to understand what is said in the French language. You are able to comprehend what they write in the French language. You are okay. Because in the expression écrite, expression orale, compréhension écrite, compréhension orale, those are the skills they would ask for. Those are the skills they will train you for, or they will test you on. And once you have been able to train well and understand how the exams are being conducted, you are able to succeed in the what? In the language test. Okay, I have another question for me. He said, what are the processes to be followed, please? I am interested. Kodri Hanu Hasni. The process is what I was telling you. If you want to learn the process, I have done a 4 hours. Okay, okay, let me just first talk about that. I have had a 4 hours webinar where I explained step by step. You understand the processes you need to follow in order to become a permanent resident of Canada, just like I did. Do you understand? Just like I did. And they are on our website. If you go on our bio on TikTok, aos.name.ng, that is our online school, online website. Our online school is aosacademy.com, but our website is aos.name.ng, especially for those in Nigeria. So you can just click on the link on my bio, basically, because when you click on the link, it will show you all those drop down. You'll be able to get the process to follow. There are 15-step processes. 15-step processes if you want to become a permanent resident, whether through French or any other way, because we also have the healthcare and social services occupations way you can come into Canada. We also have the education pathway you can use to come. There are various pathways. If you want to learn, go on our bio, click on the link. the 15-step process is there. I explained it, giving you references, giving you citation, giving you it's not school, giving you templates, samples, everything you need to actually become a permanent resident of Canada. And if you want to learn French, if you are interested to learn French as well, as I see called Riano, ask me, just go on our website. You understand? AOSacademy.com. Take the training. The number one training there is the French language proficient, the mastery program that would help you master French enough for you to pass exam, not for you to become completely fluent, because I am not even completely fluent. You understand? But for you to be enough, for you to have what it takes to write the exam once and for all and pass the exam. You know, some people, let me just chip this in. Some people will say, okay, they don't have time to learn French. Some people will say, ah, no, they cannot, old cargos cannot do what new cargos are doing. I say, no problem. But these are the set of people. I have had people that have been in Canada, people that are already coming to Canada as visitors, as temporary foreign workers, as students. And as soon as they come, they first spend so much money. As a student, at least you never spend money at all on tuition. You spend $20,000, and that's like 25 million naira. At least you did not, no matter how that course is cheap, except you get scholarship. Okay, if you get scholarship, congratulations. While you are in the school, you will pay for living expenses, rent, feeding, all those things. You will still spend, and these things. For instance, I do tell people. There was one time I had one woman come where we had a kind of presentation, and we explained that even rent. Do you know that the government of Canada, if you're a permanent resident or you are you are a citizen, you can actually get what we know as rental assistance from the government every month. You can get rental assistance. If you are a student, you are a worker, you are a visitor, you will never get that. You will never. That is one of the things I explained in, you understand, the live session where I said I talked about it in about 4 hours webinar. If you don't have time, because some people say 4 hours is too long, no problem. I explained, I kind of summarized all what I said in 4 hours in 40 minutes. You understand? In another video on our website. Go on it, aos.nim.ng, where I explained in 40 minutes. You understand? Everything you need to know about permanent residence, all the steps you need to follow about permanent residence, what you need, all the 5 years it took me to come into Canada, through trial and error, through failures and everything. You don't need to go through the process like that. You need to go through the fail-proof process that would help you, you understand, to excel in your first attempt for IELTS. If it's IELTS you want to take, in your first attempt for self-pay, because we have a trainer too that trains for IELTS self-pay. You understand? If in your first attempt of TEF Canada, first attempt of TCF Canada, so that you will not spend million. I do tell people 1 million is more than enough, and you still collect change. It's more than enough for you to actually learn French, for you to do IELTS, for you to do TEF, for you to be able to come into Canada. You understand? Through that language test that you spend on. But people will say no, they don't have time for all those things. They don't have time. They will not gonna spend 20 million for school that is not sure. They will spend lately I heard that one person is collecting $40,000 to $50,000 for a job in Canada, even though that is very much illegal. You understand? But a lot of people have been paying 50 million, 60 million naira to get a job in Canada, which is still not sure that you'll be able to stay here permanently. Because if you get a job, it's for you to just get what we know as the LMIA, the Labor Market Impact Assessment Report. And that report is just for a 1 year contract or a 2 year contract. And I say, I will spend that so much money that will not guarantee me to stay here permanently. I don't know how people always reason it. You understand? All through my own process for Canada immigration, I spent 6.7 million naira, which I do always tell people, because of course throughout the 5 year period I was writing tests, failing tests, and you understand. But I never spent up to even 7 million, talk less or even 10, 20, 40, 50, 60 million. And people will be spending that for something that is not even sure, something that will not give them permanent residence. Well, I rest my case. I don't know how some people think, but what I'm trying to tell you is that if you want to become permanent residents, there are surer way for you to do things. It can take you some time for you to learn French. It can take you for some time for you to get the result. It can take you for some time for you to become ready to have all the qualifications and eligibility criteria. But if you are strategic about it, if you don't want to waste money and just let that money fly, go. Because the school that you are going to go and do international school program, degree, diploma, all those things, they will collect your money and say thank you. They will collect your money and they will say thank you. You will not collect your money back from them. At the end of the day, when you finish the Swiss, probably they will give you. It's pali. Do you know what pali is? Paper. What is the paper? Your certificate or your diploma or your degree. That is what they will give you, pali paper. In fact, there are some schools now that they say that you don't even need to even come to the school to do it. You can do it online and they will just send you your PDF. You know, they will send you PDF certificate, pali PDF certificate for 40 million, 50 million, 20 million, 30 million that you pay. You understand? For tuition fee, for expenses in school. Do not be giving me PDF. And some people say no, it's the skill that you learn. It's the kidney. If you don't put it in practice, you will not learn, you will not make anything out of it. It will just be waste. And we have seen people, even in Nigeria back there. That's why I tell people sometimes you don't need to come to Canada to come and be learning one nonsense degree again or one nonsense diploma again. You understand? In Nigeria, the linguistics that I studied, bachelors in linguistics that I studied, if not because me, I just baggy me that was scholar in my set. You understand? I was the best graduated student in my department. So I made sure that I used the linguistics to earn money. You understand? I was doing tutorial when I was in Nigeria to teach people. I was assisting people with research works. When I came into Canada, to English and the French and everything I'm doing is still very much related to linguistics. But I know many of my students, many of my colleagues that are not using that linguistics again to earn money. They are not in fact, as soon as they collected the pali, they drop it one side. Many of my linguistics students, some people you hear this one is into digital marketing, you hear another one into web development. Yeah, it is not what they studied in school they are using. It is not what they studied in school they are using. Okay, King Yo, you are saying I am into cyber security. Do I need French too? Capital no. Capital no. Do you need French? It is no. Can you add French to your skill? Yes, because you already have the skill of tech, right? You are already proficient in tech, cyber security. If you want to actually be seen as a tech expert, what you have already is enough, cyber security, right? But now, if you want to work in an English company, English speaking company like Microsoft, like all this kind, that cybersecurity you have is enough. Because there was one time I talked about it in my, especially if you want to watch the replay, you can go on our YouTube channel, A.O.S. Abroad. You understand, on our YouTube channel, and read the top companies that I said are currently employing. Cybersecurity is one of the top occupations that they are currently employing people for, from Microsoft, from Google, from top businesses. You may not necessarily need French. You understand? For many of those companies that are hiring in places like Ontario, in places like Alberta, you understand, English-speaking provinces. But if you are going to French-speaking provinces like Quebec, like New Brunswick, you may need French in that, you understand, instance to be able to communicate and use it. But the question is, why do you still need to learn French if it is not compulsory? If you want to quickly be selected, because there are a lot of people that have the cyber security certification you have, or maybe you don't even have certification, you just gotta do what one of our friends did through Michael Tolulope, that guy that is in the US that is always talking about people that want to actually get started in the cyber security field. If you want to do similarly what that one is doing, you can easily get trained on how to get cybersecurity jobs. There are some cybersecurity jobs you can get from US, from Canada, you understand, and start earning and making 5 figures, 7 figures, you understand, on a yearly basis. But the question is, do you actually have what it takes to migrate? Because it's different. You can have what it takes to thrive in Canada. You may have what it takes to get a job in Canada. There are some people cybersecurity skill, they are using it to make money from their home country, from like Nigeria already, without even being in Canada. You understand? Because if you are baggy in tech, in fact, there are some people that are making more than what some people are even making coming as a student or into Canada. But the truth is, are you able to get employed? Are you able to get qualified to migrate into Canada? Let's now look at it. Do you have masters? That's the question. Even with your cybersecurity, do you have master? If you have, congratulations. Are you within the age bracket of 22 to 35? If you are into that age bracket, congratulations. Have you done IELTS or CELPIP or PTE and you have maxed out your points? Maybe like you have had band 8.0 or band 9.0. Congratulations. Are you coming alone or you are coming with your spouse? If you are coming with your spouse, does your spouse also have the language requirements, the English language test? Does your spouse also have the masters? Does your spouse within the age of 22 and 35? Those are the questions we need to ask you. That's why, of course, we always have a 5 minute clarity call where we actually converse with people and we ask them based on their eligibility criteria. We kind of look into their profile and see, are these people in demand in Canada? Are these people the people Canada are currently looking for? If all those questions I asked you, you don't checkmate all those checklists, you don't have pass mark in everything, then French may be required. Because even if you have those cybersecurity experience and you don't have those masters, 22 to 35 age bracket, you don't have the years of experience, maybe like 10 years, even though it may not be compulsory 10 years, maybe 3 years to 5 years, or even as much 10 years of experience, you may not be selected quickly to migrate into Canada because the pool is competitive. You understand? The pool is what? Is competitive. So you have to be much more competitive than the average person that is just a cybersecurity expert without nothing to show for it. I hope you answered that question, Affirmative. Thank you. I see a thumbs up. Okay, someone is asking, when I learn French finish, can I get a job as an excavator operator? Definitely. Definitely. But the question is, French is something different from excavator operator, because don't miss wuwu mashapa as Yoruba will say it. When you are having a language skill is different from what? A work experience. A language skill is different from what? The proficiency you have in your what? In your handiwork. Excavator operator is someone that excavates or operates excavator tools. You understand? Like bulldozer, like all those things, if I'm correct. They will not give you excavator operator role just because you speak French. You understand? This thing is something that is commonsensical. If you don't have the right to operate an excavator, what is the right to operate an excavator? It's for you to have the license. You understand? I cannot be speaking French now and I say I want to go and drive a car because I'm speaking French. Do you have the driver license? Do you understand? Okay, you have it from back home. Canada will tell you, as soon as you come into Canada, especially if you're coming into Canada as a permanent resident, let us see what you have as a driver license in Canada, in Nigeria. You understand? Take a training, or if you don't take a training, go and take the test. There's something they call the drive test. You take the drive test, and drive tests are different. There's drive test for motorcycles. There's drive test for what? For cars and vans. There's drive test for trucks. In your own situation, there's drive test for forklift and excavator and all those things. So if you want to work as an excavator operator, they need to know, do you have the skill to drive it, so that at the end of the day you not just go and give someone accident. You can crash someone, because in Canada it's not play. You can't you can't hit someone and go scot free, especially when you don't even have insurance. Double wahala. Of course, you cannot even drive without having insurance. That is illegal in Canada. You must have insurance, at least third-party insurance, that you must be paying on a monthly basis or a yearly basis. So you must have those things. So I have Nigeria class H license. That's what I'm saying. Whether you have it in Nigeria, you still have to do the training or you still have to do the testing. Some people say, just like many people that I was talking about that want to learn French, that will say, actually, I have bachelor's degree in French. Let me just go and write the test. I say, no problem. Canada will not force you. You can go. Many people, actually, there's one of our friends, Mrs. Joy Ophili Yebovi, that said she has been driving in Nigeria. In fact, she can go from Benin, she can go to Lagos, she can go from Abuja, she can go to Port Harcourt, driving. You understand? But when she came into Canada, and she said, she be driving that we have been driving in Nigeria. I more go. You understand? She said, more go. The male will go, she go and write test. Now the male will go, she go fail. She went to go and fail the exam the first time she went to write the test. You understand? But similarly, or contrary to her, when me I came, because I like to follow things by the book, I went to go and pay for a drive lesson. Even though yes, I've been driving in Nigeria, I paid for drive lessons that Assuming, yes, I'm a driver from Nigeria, but instead of doing the full course of 3 months, the driver lesson of full months, okay, let me just take some classes, maybe like 2 weeks class, 3 weeks class. I took those classes with a certified what? With a certified French coach. I say French coach. Certified drive coach, driver teacher or drive teacher, what do you even call them? Drive tutor. He trained me. He also trained. He said, Nigeria, the way you drive, you don't have lights, or let's say you don't have lights, you don't respect lights. Some people don't even know what different traffic signals is all about. You that are saying you are an excavator operator, there are some things that they will have in this place. Red lights. Some people even think maybe red light is all the same. It's not the same. It's not all the same. You understand? There are some red lights that you see that, or maybe some yellow lights that you can still be moving, that will be blinking. There are some red lights that will be blinking. If you gotta stop in the red lights that will be blinking, voila, you cause accident. You understand? But the one that is stagnant, red light that is stagnant, that you see that is just showing red, you have to stop, complete stop there. Do you understand? Little sign of okay, traffic, there's construction. Do you know how you are meant to drive in that kind of place? Some people, is still the way that they are driving, the same kilometer they were using to drive when they were not in a construction zone, is the same kilometer per hour they will be driving in a construction zone. In Canada, you collect tickets. If they will not even suspend your license, that this one not even go school to learn how to drive. You understand? The way you drive in Nigeria is different from the way you drive in Canada. You understand? I've been driving for over a year now, and I see the different ways they are driving. It is not the same from Nigeria. In Nigeria, in a school zone in Nigeria, you can be speeding. Speeds may they catch you for Canada. Even if they say yes, the kilometer per hour is 60 kilometer per hour in a normal road, you cannot drive that 60 kilometer per hour in a school zone or in a community zone. There's difference between school zone, community zone, and construction zone. There are differences. You don't know all those things and you say you don't want to be driving. Those are the skills you will lack in Canada that they have to train you for in Canada when you finally land. So you can speak French, no problem. French is just for communication. It's for you to communicate with the passenger, for you to communicate with your co-workers, it's for you to communicate, but it is not for you to handle or to operate an excavator in Canada. You can say, yes, you have the license in Nigeria. Nobody say you don't have the license. Yes, it's fact. When you go, that's why you have a license in Nigeria. The license in Nigeria is for you to be able to drive the excavator in Nigeria. Do you understand? It's for you to operate the excavator in Nigeria. When you come to Canada, a new country, a first world country, not like a third world country that Nigeria is not like an African country that Nigeria is. It is a Northern American country, a nation of its own that is first world, that is advancing, that is developed. It is not like a developing nation or underdeveloped nation like Nigeria. So different skills for different countries, different expertise for different countries. That is why in Nigeria they would, or in Canada, when you come with a Nigerian license, they would recognize it, but just for a certain time. After 3 months or so, you can never use that license again. Especially if you are coming as a permanent resident, you need to get the Canadian license. And to get it, either you go for a training or you go for a testing. Even though you go for a training, you still have to test. But some people say, okay, I don't want to train. Let me go directly to test. No problem. If you fail, and you say, okay, I failed, but I want to still continue driving, they will arrest you. Yes, they will arrest you because driving without the proper license is liable to what? To you being detained. And sometimes it's like, especially when you go and have accidents or you go and do one traffic traffic regulation, you do not follow one traffic regulation, you your car said that you're driving can be towed, it can be impounded. They will impound your car. You can even sleep in jail. So I don't know all these things, sir. It is not about the license. You understand? It is about you following the do's and don'ts of the country. Okay, I think I've been able to trash out that question. Let me leave that for you. I think that is understood now. So basically, in summary, what we are saying is, if you want to come into Canada, our conversation today is IRCC, Immigration, Refugees and Citizenship Canada, holding the third express entry draw of the week. And what was the express entry draw of the week they held? It was what? It was French draw. And I was telling people French draw was the way I got selected. I got selected through the Ontario French Speaking Skilled Worker Program. You understand? Under the Ontario Immigrant Nominee Program, the Ontario PNP, basically. But it is not everybody that needs to get selected through that draw. It's not everybody that needs to learn French. But if you want to quickly be selected, if you want to have the opportunity for them to see you as hot cake, have your occupation, you understand, have your skills, but adding the French language skills to it is a major plus to you for you to come into Canada right now. Do you understand? So if you want us to assist you, again, go on our bio or click on our website aosacademy.com and learn about what you need to do, how you need to actually get to start learning French, and we can always assist you to prepare for the test, for the language test like TEF Canada or CF Canada or any other test that you desire to actually show your French language proficiency. And by God's grace, if you want us to also assist you with your permanent residency pathway through our immigration partners, our immigration lawyer or consultant, we can also refer you to them for their services. So thank you very much. You have spent more than the time that we do normally spend, more than 1 hour already. If you have any questions, drop it in the comment section. If we don't, thank you very much for liking. Thank you for joining. Don't forget to like, to share this, because we'll always share snippets from these conversations on our TikTok. And if you want to listen to the full live session, it is also available on YouTube. As you know, we are always on various platforms at the time. So you can either watch it on TikTok in beats, you understand, 30, 1 hour, 1 minute, or you can go on YouTube to watch the full version of the live session. So thank you very much, and don't forget to share. Don't forget to also join us subsequently every week. At least we have one live session. At least we have one live session every week where we talk about trending topics and we also answer your questions. And if you want to also talk with me personally, because some people say, no, I want to talk to you personally, I want to have it. We have a 5 minute free clarity call that we always give people. If you go on our bio as well, aos.name.ng or aos.name.ng/fs, which is the free session, you can always talk to me. Just book a clarity call with me and we can always trash out your own particular scenario. So thank you very much again once more, and do have a lovely day ahead. Bye for now. Au revoir.